Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmad Nawaz. Tonight, our top story for Sports Extra is going to be Pakistan that are facing New Zealand from the 17th of this month. But not just that, Shadab Khan's press conference has probably had a big impact on all the rumors that were coming out from the PCB and all the worries that were going on circling throughout media, social media, digital media, print media, everywhere. Shadab's press conference has really given us a clear outlook now on what matters were discussed with the PCB. What did Ramiz Raja had to say? Although he's still not taken charge, the 13th is when he's going to be taking official charge of the PCB. Tour is going to commence on the 17th September with the first ODI. Pakistan's one-day international team is in Islamabad. They'll be starting practice at the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium from tomorrow. New Zealand team is arriving on the 11th, and after a day gap, they will be starting practicing as well. 17th, 19th, 21st of September, the 3 ODIs take place at the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. After that, the team moves on to Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore, where 5 T20 internationals will take place. That's the complete tour, and we'll be discussing all the other news that is, of course, circling Pakistan Cricket Board right now as well. After that, we'll be moving on to our second topic tonight at Sports Extra. It had to be this one because it's already making headlines throughout the world of sports. It's the US Open 2021. Novak Djokovic has just blasted past Matteo Berrettini, the Italian, and he set up a semi-final with Zverev, who cruised past Harris in straight sets. Elsewhere, I think Emma Raducanu is having a dream run. The 18-year-old is just absolutely superb. She's unlike someone we've never seen before. Not even Naomi Osaka probably had this much intensity when she is concerned. She really demolished all of her opponents, so I think it's got to be discussed. And elsewhere, also what stands in her way to becoming the youngest ever champion of the US Open as well. We'll be discussing all about this. And then, of course, in the third segment, we've got football tonight on Sports Extra. Big news are coming in from the English Premier League, where there's been so much debate. 8 players have been barred from playing the English Premier League. Ronaldo, of course, is in line to make his second Manchester United debut as well when United take on Newcastle. There have been rumours regarding his playing position as well, but I think that's just rumours. It's just going to be fine with Ronaldo, who's been appearing for training as well at Manchester United Stadium. We'll be discussing all about that in tonight's show. First of all, when we talk about cricket, like I said, our top story tonight is Shadab Khan's press conference. Let's go watch this report by the team of Sports Extra and then come back.
Vice captain of the Pakistani T20 team, Shadab Khan got in a virtual press conference and shed some light and cleared air for many regarding what is happening in Pakistani cricket world right now. When asked about what Ramiz Raja advised the players, Shadab said that Ramiz was emphasizing players to play modern-day cricket. A culture is being developed and the team is trying a more aggressive and selfless approach. Many players, senior and junior, including the skipper Babar Azam, have been seen disagreeing with the selection of the T20 squad. When asked about it, Shadab simply said that in the meeting, they didn't really talk about it and said selection really belongs to the chief selector and anyone with doubts should listen to Wasim Khan's press conference. Shadab was asked about his own analysis of himself. Shadab said that he is hopeful and is working really hard for the times ahead. He has trained and considers himself fit to play. Resignation of Misbah Wakar just days before New Zealand tours Pakistan came as a mighty shock to everyone, and Shadab feels the same way. He won't delve into it and talk about it since it was their personal decision. New Zealand will arrive in Pakistan on 11th September and their B team will be playing. Shadab said that it would have been good for their main team to come and give Pakistani people a blast. Shaklan Mushtaq has been recently appointed as the head coach. Shadab feels really lucky as last time when Pakistan was on top, a large contribution to it was made by spinners of that time. Shadab thinks really high of present squad spin ball order, and with the experience and talent of Shaklan Mushtaq backing them, he's really looking forward to good performances.
There you have it. That's all you need to know about Shadab Khan's press conference. A lot of revelations have been made. Now, finally, things are clear of what the meeting was between Ramiz Raja and the players. So I think we'll be discussing all about that in tonight's show. We've been joined by our guest, somebody who's a regular feature on Sports Extra. Any sports you want to discuss with him, he'll always be on his A game. I think when it comes to having guests on Sports Extra, he really becomes the MVP of them. And a very dear brother, of course, and a very good friend, a very great human being. None other than sports expert Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum, Ali Mehdi, how are you?
Walaikum salam, I'm very well, Ahmad.
Great to have you on the show. Long time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Right, you just heard what Shadab had to say. Before we move on to that, my first question to you tonight is going to be, why are people so impatient? We know Ramiz Raja has not even officially taken charge right now. Straight away, people have resorted to Twitter, making all sorts of rude comments. Don't you think we ought to give the guy a chance first?
I think this is a problem with us as a nation. We're extremely impatient. We have to wait. You know, it's a process right now. He's going to be elected by the Board of Governors, Ahmad, which is going to take place on Monday, the 13th of September. So unofficially, we know he's actually taking over, but at the same time, you see everybody has met him, the whole team has met him, they've discussed their reservations, you know, team officials, everybody else for that matter, you know, he himself knows the procedure very well. So I think things are moving smoothly, but, you know, obviously he can't make any statement. Till obviously he's been officially appointed from the Board of Governors of 13th of September. So, but right now the thing with this is that, you know, the problem right now is the fuel right now which is coming of wrong information, which is false information, which is coming on the web, which is coming on social media, which is coming on news outlets. That's very wrong, because that's causing a lot of hindrance, that's causing a lot of disturbance through the cricket fraternity. Globally also we're looking down upon, not only internally, also, you know, our neighbors to India, and then all other factions are actually looking down upon us. So I think we just have to wait right now. I think everything will work out smoothly. I'm glad Shadab Khan came with this virtual press conference to show that everything is okay. There's nothing wrong, you know, whatever false information is coming, you know, he actually needed to clear there, and that needed to be done, because so much wrong information has been coming over the past few days, and I'm glad that Shadab Khan came and he put everything to bed.
Ali Mehdi, it's just not the nation. We've got former cricketers, former greats, legends who are role models for young kids in Pakistan. And I asked this question yesterday to one of my guests, and I'll stay with the same for you, that we're probably the only country in the world where we see former cricketers going against each other. Wasim Akram was having it against Shoaib Akhtar.
I saw that.
Aqib Javed going against Waqar Younis, calling each other all sorts of names. And it's more disappointing because then you realize that most of them have shared the same dressing room and the same playing field together as a team. And now all of these guys are going against each other. Further clarifies how things were when they were playing against each other.
No, what I actually find very, very disappointing, and these are fellow peers. You're talking about the likes of Aqib Javed and Waqar Younis. Yes, they do not get along with each other, but don't spread this, you know, false and, you know, venomous accusations on each other. And personal attacks. And, you know, you have to give credit to Waqar. He's been kept quiet all this time. Whatever has happened, a lot has happened behind scenes. But this constant venomous attacks by Aqib, it's not right. And, you know, we have to look from both sides. You know, Ahmad, the problem is we always look from one side. We have to look at both sides. A lot is happening behind the closed doors right now, but you have to wait for the new administration to come into being. We have to see what they have to actually say too. So all these ex-cricketers, you know, coming and putting statements, you know, it's all for publicity hype. It's all for, you know, just putting, you know, their matters forward. So I just think right now that, you know, we just need to wait. I think it's a very mature this press conference which was put by Shadab Khan, and hopefully, you know, not much media attention will be given to these ex-cricketers who are putting a lot of wrong information.
People have a lot to say about the squad that has been selected, Ali Mehdi. People have had all sorts of names that they wanted in the Pakistani setup. Wasim Akram on a private television channel in one of the shows on primetime said that the problem right now is that everybody in Pakistan is an expert, everybody has a team. What he said, and I'll quote, is that he doesn't see anything wrong with this team. He said if the combinations are right, these guys perform, you can obviously win something. And if it doesn't work, it won't work with anyone else.
Look, I have to agree with, look, I think I myself, like you and other people for that matter, have a lot of reservations, but you have to back these boys. You have to give them an opportunity. I mean, we can go on the show talking about which Tom, Dick and Harry, which players we shouldn't be playing, but you have to give them a go. You know, they've been given an opportunity, and I thought that was a very mature sort of a fact, which Wasim Akram said. Look, you know, yes, there are a couple of players he said, you know, he wouldn't, but you have to now back them now. You have to. We're going into a World T20 Cup. There hasn't been a World T20 Championship for Ahmed for 4.5 years. In fact, 5.5 years. So for that matter, what you need to do is that you need to back them. They're playing against New Zealand. They're going to play against England too. And then, you know, you've got the World T20. So, you know, you've got to stick with them, give them an opportunity. And then at the same time, what you need to do is that, you know, also at the same time, you have to give an opportunity to the, you know, interim coaches. I think that, you know, we haven't spoke much about, I think that these interim coaches have a lot to offer. Hopefully, if they perform well, you know, they can be given the job on a permanent offer. I'm very excited about them.
Very excited indeed, and that's how things should be. But Ali Mehdi, one very important point, if we bisect the squad right now, then we know the players that we're carrying and the players who have been put in reserve conditions. Now, let me be very honest, Babar and Rizwan are not going to change their position of opening the innings. That's not going to happen. That means at number 3, you're opting for the likes of Shoaib Maqsood, then Mohammad Hafiz, 3, 4, 5, Asif Ali, Azam Khan, Khushdil Shah in between. That means you've got no place to adjust Fakhar Zaman. You've got no place to adjust Shoaib Malik. So you've got, and if you go towards the bowling, then your bowling options are where you're playing either Nawaz, Ahmad, Wasim, Shadab Khan is going to be a permanent fixture. You've got Shaheen Shah Afridi is going to be permanent, Wasim Jr. is going to be permanent, and Hassan Ali is going to be permanent. That means you've got no place for Wahab Riaz or the likes of anybody else like Mohammad Hasnain or any other fast bowler. Now we've got to consider the facts. Why take players who were not going to play in the playing 11? Maybe that's why we've not opted for these players. As the chief selector clarified when he was asked why not Shoaib Malik, he said Shoaib said I wanted to play up the order. It doesn't make sense for him to play up the order.
It doesn't make sense. He's a middle order player. I don't know what he's going on about, but playing up the order. He's an excellent anchor in between. So I just don't seem to understand why he wants to play up the order. Those days are gone. Ahmad, in the 2000s when he was a number 3, you know, he was a good player in the 50-over format, but he's not a good player in this up the order, especially for T20 cricket. We need him in the middle order. Unfortunately, he's not part of the squad, so you know there's no point discussing him. But I just don't seem to understand the likes of Shergill and Fakhar. They should be in that squad. I mean, we need power hitters over there. Look, the fact of the matter, Ahmad, they are playing on, you know, they are playing on these flat wickets, on these rank turners, you know, which is not going to have you know, much of bounce. There's not going to be much swing. So it makes perfect sense to have the likes of Fakhar Zaman and to have the likes of Shergill Khan too. So I can't seem to understand why they are not part of the squad too. Yes, I'm you know, they're giving, you know, they're looking towards the future. They're going to like Khushdil, Hafiz, Rizwan, Khushdil is over there too. Azam Khan is over there too. But I just feel right now that you need some experience of there, and Shoaib Malik would have been a perfect person for that too.
Definitely. We'll continue the discussion. We've been very lucky now to be joined by a cricket expert, somebody who's a great sports writer, who does a very good podcast, and definitely has a lot of truth to his critics that, you know, the critique that he does, it's always constructive criticism. Mr. Hassan Hussain Qureshi. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome to PTV World and welcome to Sports Extra.
Thank you, Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, Ali ji. Hope you're all well.
Wa alaikum assalam. Hassan bhai, first of all, your thoughts on the entire episodes that we've been having. I just asked Ali Mehdi that how disappointing is it that our role models that we used to play together are going against each other with all sorts of personal attacks and everything that they've got to say.
It's very sad to see, Ahmed ji. I would agree with you. It's been very disappointing to see how some people in the media, you know, ex-players have reacted. It's not good for Pakistan. It's not good for Pakistan cricket. And I would like to urge them all to remember, like you rightly said, they are role models. They are people that we look up to, the younger generation look up to. We need to try and be united, and we need to have debate in a nicer way. We need to have it in a constructive way, without these personal attacks, without, you know, going to these, I would say, going so low to do that. It's not something that's there. It's good to see, and it's not something that's part of our culture also. So they have to remember their role as role models, as inspirations to younger people, and think about that before they do something like this.
What are your thoughts on the squad that has been selected? You know, we've seen some people against it, some people for it. Now, we also had Wasim Akram saying that he doesn't see anything wrong with the squad in his analysis. Of course, in Pakistan, we know that everybody tends to have their own advice and their expert opinion. That's how we enjoy freedom of expression in this beloved country of ours. So what will be your expert analysis on the squad, whether it's changes, whether it's tweaks here and there, because we still have time where we can probably do much with this squad?
I agree. I think it's understandable that people have, you know, very strong opinions about the squad. I was hearing Ali, and he's rightly pointed out that it's a bit strange that we've not gone for someone like Fakhar. I understand that Shergill's power, but my issue with Shergill has been about fitness. But then people rightly point that out about Azam as well, who is a very exciting talent, but at the same time, is there some kind of confusion? Are we not following the things? It's good that Wasim is gone, but on what basis are we taking him? Are we judging him on previous performances? It's a bit surprising Usman Qadir is only a part of the reserves when you consider that he's been one of the very good leg spinners. And you know, we're seeing other countries going into games with 2 leg spinners. You made a very valid point that if Nawaz is going, are you going to play both him and Ahmad? Are you sometimes carrying too many people for that role? we don't have a proper backup wicketkeeper, and Sarfaraz does have experience. Sarfaraz has played at the highest level. He's got a good record overall in the UAE. As a backup, isn't it better to have someone like Sarfaraz rather than relying that maybe Azam may or may not keep wicket? So there are things about it that, confuse you a little. I know a lot of people are pushing for the fact that you need the experience of Shoaib Malik, who's also doing well in places. Hafiz is there. So I think you can look at it both ways. My personal point, Emoji, is I think now the squad has been picked. Now I think we just need to focus on figuring out a way how to utilize the squad best, because there still seem to be some gaps. There still seems to be a little bit of a lack of clarity. I know Rizwan and Babar are set at the top. How does the rest of the order work out? How does the bowling work out? That's very important going into the games against New Zealand and England, that we make sure that it works out in a way and we give proper chances to the players. Because if we're going to panic, not see the results we want, and 10 days before that make changes, that's not going to help anybody.
Well, we do understand that it's probably going to be 3 fast bowlers, 2 spinners with an added option of Mohammad Hafiz as our 6th utility bowler. In those 3 roles, we've got Shaheen Shah Afridi, Hassan Ali and Wasim Jr., who are the likely favourites. Shadab Khan becomes a permanent option. So it's either Ahmad or Nawaz. That's where the competition in the bowling comes. Do you think not having more options would probably be a bit more pressure now? Because if one of these guys gets hammered to the cleaners, then going towards somebody who can probably contain that pressure might just be a problem.
It will. It'll also be like, as you pointed out, Ahmad's batting comes into it, but Nawaz has a better bowling record. If you replace Wasim with Hassan Rauf, with Haris Rauf, you are weakening your batting. So are we thinking about batting first? Are we thinking, okay, we don't want to give X amount of runs, then maybe we'll chase them or we'll have more batting? The pressure will definitely be there on every single player, Ahmed. And I think that's where the management comes into it, that they have to make sure that the players' roles are very well defined, and they back them and say, okay, guys, you now have this opportunity. Go out there. This is what we're looking for you. You're bowling in the middle overs. You're bowling in the death overs. You're coming out to bat at number 6, and then give them the opportunity to follow that properly. I think if we can do that, then there'll be a little bit more clarity for the players, the management, and then, of course, seeing it, there'll be a lot more clarity for the fans.
Hassan bhai, if one was to put himself in the shoes of Babar Azam, what would be the right thing for him to do right now? Because all sorts of nonsense surrounding him, and this is a guy who's the main backbone of our batting, who's the key element in our batting, needs to focus on the batting, the captaincy, the added pressure of his very first ICC tournament assignment. Do you think that he really needs to go out there aggressively, take charge of the team and just tell them that, look, guys, things are going to change in the management, but this is our bunch. We're going to make sure that we perform and we take the World Cup crown back home?
Absolutely. I think that's the best thing he can do. He knows how important he is. He knows how well loved he is, how Pakistanis feel about him, how much pride we take in his performances as a batsman, and that we all want him to succeed as a captain. And there'd be nothing better than seeing him go out there and being aggressive and telling his teammates that, guys, this is our opportunity. Let's, close our ears to all the nonsense that's going on outside. Let's go. Once we cross, the 11 of us that cross onto the ground and on the pitch, let's make sure that we're the guys who make the difference and lift the cup. And there'd be nothing greater for Pakistan than to go out and win this. A very good point was made that for the conditions that we're playing in, this is a good squad. This is not a World Cup taking place in India, and this is not a World Cup taking place in New Zealand or Australia. So we should remind ourselves of that. We should remind ourselves that we've got a good record here. A lot of our guys have played here. It was, our home for so long. And we should see that as an advantage and go into it and embrace the tag. I think people might be writing us off, but we need to go in with the mindset that let them write us off. We'll show them who's boss.
Ali, Mehdi, your final thoughts when we talk about Babar Azam. What advice would you like to give him right now?
I think what Babar Azam should do is that ignore the media, or ignore the nonsense which you're hearing on the media outlets, and just focus on the squad. Focus on the squad, focus on the series against New Zealand, focus on the home series against England, find your best 11, and then go into, with full force into that T20 World Cup. Play it simple. Don't go into much complications over here, into much complexes, and just focus on focus on cricket and focus on the squad at hand, because it's not going to change.
Definitely. Like we said, that a lot of people will have an important role to play here, and especially on social media. I also read something very pertinent, where it said that probably Mohammad Hafiz, being the more experienced campaigner now in this squad, will have to take charge and, try to talk to the guys, tell them to back Babar and talk to Babar to take ownership as well. Because at the end of the day, I think my guests have put it right that we've got to back this squad. The World Cup is happening in a month's of time, and we really, really need to, get through, and we really need to make sure that the World Cup is ours, because these are conditions where Pakistan is very, very good at. Pakistan has the most experience in these conditions. That being said, we've got breaking news here at Sports Extra right now. I've just been told by my team that COVID tests have returned of the Pakistan cricket team, and Mohammad Nawaz has tested positive for COVID-19. That means that Nawaz would now not be part of the squad for the next 14 to 15 days and would not be part of the series against New Zealand. So that is a major blow to Pakistan. But then again, of course, we do know that in his absence, we've got somebody else now who's going to take his place. But news right now here on Sports Extra is that Mohammad Nawaz has tested positive for COVID-19. The COVID tests were, of course, conducted after the Pakistani one-day international squad arrived in Islamabad last night, and they were due to start practicing tomorrow. But Nawaz has tested positive, and he would now not be part of the Pakistan squad for this series against New Zealand, and further time will tell. Time now to move on to our segment of football. We know that the English Premier League, in all its glory, is going to give us some great action. But 8 players have been barred from representing their respective sides in the English Premier League. Why is this happening? Let's go watch this report and then come back.
Cristiano Ronaldo is in line to make his second Man United debut in Saturday's Premier League match against Newcastle. It is hoped the striker will be ready to assist the side and begin to have an immediate impact in his second spell at the club. Ronaldo's return to Carrington was the first time he has been back at United's training base since leaving the club 12 years ago. Manchester City are set to be without both Ederson and Gabriel Jesus for their clash with Leicester in the Premier League. Jesus, meanwhile, has 1 goal and 3 assists in 2 Premier League starts for City this season. This means that Guardiola will be without an informed forward for the clash with Leicester. The return of the Premier League is very much on the horizon for Chelsea as they get set for their game against Aston Villa this weekend. Thiago Silva will be missing out on the game following a 5-day suspension, while Chelsea's new boy Saul Niguez is set to make his debut after impressing Thomas Tuchel in training. It has been a disappointing start to the season for Arsenal, but they will be hoping to earn their first victory of the campaign when they host Norwich City on Saturday. The two sides meet in a crunch clash at the Emirates Stadium, as the Gunners currently sit at the bottom of the table and Norwich just 1 place above them.
There you have it. That report gives you the latest of news regarding the English Premier League and what is happening now. How better to discuss the English Premier League when you've got 3 Manchester boys in studios, Manchester United boys, that is, those who have actually won the biggest crown of football league, that is, of course, the UEFA Champions League. Not talking about the other part of Manchester. Let me be very clear. Ali Mehdi, your thoughts on this so far?
No, I'm just extremely excited about the game at the weekend. Very, very happy that that it's going to be a second debut for Ronaldo. He's doing. I mean, it's a dream come true. I still am lost for words. I think Hassan would agree with me that we never saw this coming.
We were being bullied by all sorts of fans that he's going to City.
Torture. We were going through absolute torture that he would go to the blue side. But it was a bit of a smokescreen because he had already told a few players. He told Habib, the UFC expert, that he was going to Manchester United. It was written in the stars. He was going to come to Manchester United, and he's extremely happy. His family is over there too. He's well settled. Look, the best thing about it is that he knows the club. And not only that, I think Hassan Abai would agree that a lot of legends who actually played with him are still there. Darren Fletcher is there, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is there, Michael Carrick is there. So, he shouldn't have any problems adjusting. And the best thing about it, he's a leader. He's going to bring those leadership skills, and he's hopefully going to raise the level of these players for Manchester United. So, I, like every United player, for the first time in probably 10 years since Ferguson left, believe that we can actually really challenge for this title.
We've got something to cheer about. Hassan, would you agree now, of course, that no matter how times would be, history will always tell us that Manchester will stay red?
Of course. I think that's understood and has come up again and again. I think I'll echo what Ali said. It's very exciting and it's wonderful, and I really hope it's a spectacle for the fans. What everyone's been through in these last 18 months or so with the pandemic has been very difficult, and seeing the fans back in the stadium, and for them, we saw the reception that Varane got at the stadium, and it was spine tingling. So with Ronaldo, it's going to be dare I say it, 1,000 times higher. So it's going to be exciting to see that. And at the same time, as United fans, I don't want to be too critical of one of our own players, but I think the fact that, we're going to be missing Fred while Liverpool are going to be missing Alisson, Fabinho and Firmino, and City are going to be missing Ederson and Jesus. I think there's even more for us to celebrate right now.
Definitely. I think that's a piece going on social media tonight, and we're probably going to have everybody tag Fred this time, because that is probably the statement that we wanted. Ali Mehdi, the combinations right now for Manchester United couldn't be more better. Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, you've got the likes of Varane who's just come in, and so much there. I think the only cherry on top, bigger than everything else, would have been that Sir Alex was able to come back. But that being said, there is now no reason why I don't see Manchester United winning big.
Look, the thing over here, Ahmed, is that United, for the first time in many years, has depth. And when we talk about depth, they have quality in their depth. You have 2-3 players fighting for every position too, and that is something we haven't seen for many, many years. So I'm very excited about that. You want to win titles, you have to have squad depth.
You always said that we're missing one key element.
And we still
and
we are missing a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Had we had that defensive, I think that we could actually challenge for Europe. We could have gone after Chelsea's crown. But the fact of the matter right now is we've talked to take it one step at a time. I still think it's early. You cannot write out the likes of Fred and Matic and the other players. Pogba's over there too, and Scott McTominay. So I really think that Ronaldo's
or
presence,
Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire, yes. But our defense is also sorted out. You have 3 players like the likes of Harry Maguire, Varane, and then Lindelof also, wanting to fight for that position. Let's not forget, Lindelof just played against Spain, and they beat Spain right now. So, I mean, everybody's in very good form. All these players, are extreme. And then another thing is, people haven't spoken about Jesse Lingard. He's returned, and he's been phenomenal. He's been on fire. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got a real headache on his hands, and a good headache, because you've got to fit these players. You've got to make them happy too. And if Jesse Lingard, for that matter, I know I'm going to sound some United fans aren't going to be. If he plays better than Bruno Fernandes, bench Fernandes. Doesn't matter. You want the best for the squad. Lingard's been on fire. All these other players have been on fire. Jadon Sancho's there. And I hope that, for this squad, I hope that somehow the other Ole Gunnar Solskjaer devises a sort of strategy or a formation where he can play both Cavani and Ronaldo, because those two are world-class players. And
well, because you look at that midfield and that top row, then you're in absolute awe with the number of stars that you're seeing. Hassan, one very important thing right now is that United had everything but that intensity that was missing since star players and Sir Alex left. I really can't take anything away from the greatness of Bruno Fernandes or Paul Pogba or anybody for that matter, or even Solskjaer as a manager. What we were missing was that one guy who could just lift them up out of nowhere, just bring that energy in, win games when it's required, not be able to draw games against lower ranked sides, but actually win with that heavy margin. Do you think Ronaldo now answers that question?
Of course, Ahmad, he's got that aura, I mean, we've seen how the younger players have talked about his returning. We've seen how someone as amazing as Cavani has said, given the number 7, it's the best of all time. So, the squad is uplifted. The fans are uplifted. That you're getting... Bruno Fernandes put a post on social media about how when he used to watch Ronaldo playing for United, his dream was to come to United. Because of that, now he's playing with him. When we signed Bruno, we got one person to do that. When we signed Cavani, we brought in another, guys with a winning mentality, guys with desire. Ronaldo is at the absolute top. When you look at that desire and mentality, Ronaldo and Messi are there because they have consistently been at the very top for so long. And Ronaldo's coming back to a place that, like Ali Mehdi rightly said, he knows the club, he knows the place, he knows how much he's loved. He's come back and scored against us a couple of times, and even then the fans have clapped for him because they have that relationship with him. And he will give you an aura, and it lifts the other players up. And for them, they can think, okay, we're starting the kind of game that we lost last season at home, Sheffield United, or got a draw with someone else. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, Ronaldo's there, he'll find a way. And it's no surprise that for the last, 10, 15 years, every time any of his clubs has needed it, he's found a way. So he's hoping he will do the same again at United.
Yeah, imagine having him in the Fantasy Premier League. All your questions are answered right now.
12.5.
So half your strength, highest score.
Highest score.
Ali Mehdi, but at the same time, we cannot ignore the plans and the strategies of our rival City at the same time. Guardiola really has gotten a squad up his sleeves which he wants to go forward with. But like you mentioned the other day, that maybe those players don't adjust to his playing strategies.
Look, I think Man City are still the team to beat. They've got an extremely good squad. They've got an incredibly dynamic midfield. And look, they've got goal scorers who can get you. So I think that they're the team to beat right now. They've won the title so many times in the past few years too. Gabriel Jesus is over there. But I think the team to beat is Asad Nawaz's Chelsea. And the reason
Thomas Tuchel and his brilliance.
No, I'm serious because look, they have incredible squad depth. They've actually reinforced all those areas. And Tuchel, after winning Chelsea.
Right. Ali Mehdi, thank you so much for joining us. Hassan bhai, thank you so much for your time as well. We'll just go towards a short break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra with me, Ahmad Nawaz. We're hanging on to Ali Mehdi because we're going to be discussing the US Open tennis tournament now. The semi-final lineup is about completed and great high-intensity tennis is on offer. Let's just go watch this report and then come back.
US Open moves one step closer to its finale with the semi-final lineup being finalized. In the women's singles, Laila Annie Fernandez will face Arina Sabalenka, whereas Emma Raducanu will play Maria Sakkari in the semis. Emma earned her spot in the semi-finals after a dominant straight set win over Swiss 11th seed Belinda Bencic, whereas Maria advanced to the semis after beating Czech 4th seed Karolina Pliskova. On the men's side, Auger Aliassime will face number 2 seed Daniil Medvedev in the semi-finals. The second men's semi-final will be between 4th seed Alexander Zverev and the world's number 1 Novak Djokovic. 4th seed Alexander Zverev extended his winning streak to 16 matches by easing past South African Lloyd Harris and into the semi-finals of the US Open, whereas Djokovic powered his way through 6th seed Matteo Berrettini of Italy to advance into the semis.
There you have it, all you need to know about the US Open. The semi-final lineups have been completed. First of all, the men's singles. Ali Mehdi, the brilliance and immortality that is Novak Djokovic. Standing in his way, first of all, is Alexander Zverev.
First away, he takes away your legs, then he takes your soul. This was quoted by the former US Open champion, Andy Roddick. But look, I can completely understand where he's coming from. He's been extremely good. The thing about Novak Djokovic is, Ahmad, he's probably not on the same level, which he was. But at the same time, he's the master of Grand Slams. When it comes to Grand Slams, he knows how to win. Whether it's 4 sets, 5 sets. He's dropped some sets along the way, but he's playing at a very high level.
You said he's dropping for fun. That's what you said.
Yeah, well, he is. He's dropping sets for fun. But that doesn't matter. When it matters the most in the semi-finals or final, that's when he raises his A game too. But I think he's been brilliant. He beat Berrettini. Then before that, he also lost a set too. But this is where it really, really becomes difficult for him because he's playing against his nemesis, Zverev, the player who actually denied him a gold medal. So I think it's a mouth-watering treat. Zverev knows how to beat him. He's beaten him for the gold medal match in Tokyo a few weeks ago. He beat him at the World Tour finals a couple of years ago too. So I think that Zverev now, he's going to be coming up against a player who is mentally extremely strong right now. He's very fired up. He made the final last year too. So yes, Djokovic is the prime favorite, but you cannot bet against Zverev because he's on a
Zverev, Ali Mehdi is coming on the back of a Cincinnati Open victory. Then, of course, got out in the round of 16 to Auger Aliassime in the Wimbledon as well. But whenever we look at his game, and like you mentioned that he's been able to stop Djokovic many a time. So if you had any one name that you'd put your money on to probably stop Djokovic, you think that would be Zverev?
I think it would be Zverev. And the reason being is that because Zverev has been through a lot over the past couple of years. He's really worked on some chinks on his game. He's extremely strong on the backhand. He's always been strong, but his forehand and his serve have become very strong too. But the most important thing is, Ahmad, if you look at this year, mentally how strong he is. He did very well to win that gold, to win the Olympics too. which he wanted for his country, for Germany. But then at the same time in Cincinnati, he was extremely strong. So he's on a very strong run right now. You know, he hasn't lost since Wimbledon, as you mentioned. And if there's anybody who can match fire to fire, it's Djokovic. And I actually am favoring Djokovic. I think Zverev is going to beat Djokovic.
Zverev is there. We've got to talk about the other one, Felix Auger-Aliassime from Canada, and your favorite, Daniel Medvedev.
I am very fond of Daniel Medvedev. I just thought he was a bit off in his last match against Botic van der Zelschup right now too. But look, Daniel Medvedev has had a phenomenal year. He won at Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and he's doing very well. He's the number 2, but I think he should have enough for Felix. But Felix has done very well too. So, but I just think that it's time for Medvedev. He made the final in 2019. Let's not forget. He took a 5-set against Nadal. I expect him to make the final by beating Felix.
Well, we've got time now to discuss the women's side very quickly. We've got the first semi-final at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. Leylah Fernandez and Aryna Sabalenka, who've been having a dream run. Very high-intensity tennis. Very
high-intensity tennis. You've got to talk about Leylah Fernandez. You know, out of the blue, this Canadian blew away the the defending champion Osaka, beat Angie Kerber, and then beat Elina Svitolina, who is my favorite too. So she's on a very hot run. She could cause problems, but then she's coming up against a warrior princess, Aryna Sabalenka. So I think it's going to be a good match, but I think Aryna has enough to beat her.
Emma Raducanu, my personal favorite, and what a dream run the 18-year-old is having up against Maria Sakkari.
The first qualifier since 2009 to make a semi-final. Last time it was Kim Clijsters in 2009. Look, she has a very good chance. She's been on phenomenal form, but she's coming up against Sakkari. Sakkari is playing very well, but you know, you want Emma to win this match, but it's going to be a very high power match. But if Emma plays the same way she has, look, Emma's very tired right now. She's been playing for the past 2 weeks too. If she has that fuel, if she has got that drive in her legs, she can win this match. But Sakkari with that power should actually get through this match.
Definitely. Ali, Mehdi, thank you so much for joining us on this hat-trick of segments that we've thrown at you. We're always great having you. That's all we have time for. But before we go, we've got our segment that is the news in brief. And in the news in brief, we've got Australia that have decided to cancel their match with Afghanistan. The historic test match might be scrapped. ICC is monitoring the situation where Australian Cricket Board, Cricket Australia, has said that if the new Taliban regime does not allow women cricket to flourish in Afghanistan, if it continues to ban women cricket in Afghanistan, then Australia is going to scrap the test match against Afghanistan, because they said that we believe in an inclusive sport, and we believe that women should be given equal opportunities. That's it for this edition of Sports Extra. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.